Good evening, everybody.
Good evening.
Can I hear that again?
Yes. Good evening.
Oh, that's better. My name is Chandra Saggi. I am the outgoing president of the St. Augustine Historical Society. This meeting will be my last official act before passing the baton or the microphone to one Shelley DeVoge. Shelley, wave to the crowd. We have a little different venue for you tonight. You're very accustomed to being in the celebrated Flagler room at Flagler College. Very ornate, very beautiful room, but I bet everybody will agree the chairs here are far more comfortable. I hope you've enjoyed browsing in Sydney and Brenda's car museum. Sydney is in the back of the room there. Sydney Hobbs. Sydney, you brought a wonderful exhibit to St. Augustine. We're very appreciative of that, and thank you for providing this great venue, a little change of pace for us. We're having a good time. I was looking around and I saw one of our members browsing through the cars. It was that big 57 Buick Roadmaster in the very back, big black one. And this individual, who must remain nameless, was admiring the size of the back seat. And I overheard a few of his comments, one of which was San Marco Drive-In. Go figure. I do want to recognize Megan Wilson and her staff for organizing this change of pace venue for us. Megan and your staff, everybody who's here, Jeanette, who all, please stand and be recognized. Great job, thank you. My 6 years on the Board of Trustees have been enjoyable, very rewarding. The people I work with, Megan, her staff, the Board of Trustees that I've enjoyed knowing and meeting new acquaintances for the last 6 years have been great. Everyone is so committed to the Historical Society and its mantra, and that is making history accessible. I think that's a wonderful tagline for the Historical Society, and we do a good job at it. If we could have the next slide, please. I just want everyone to know that when we have our board meetings 4 times a year, this was on the screen, the emphasis areas that we adopted with our first meeting. I'm not going to read them all, don't need to, but I'm happy to report that we have stayed true to these objectives and accomplished our goals. There's always room to improve. There's always dials to be turned. But all in all, I think we've had a very good year. 2021 was a year for investment. And we wanted to invest. We wanted to not have the philosophy of saving our money. We wanted to spend our money wisely. And for that, we want to protect the future of the society, put it on a solid foundation. It has been, but it still is. And we want to deliver greater benefit to you, the members, and to the community of St. Augustine. So through focused management, through grants and donations, I'm happy to say our revenues are up. Nick McCullough will relate how up in his Treasury report, and Megan will report on the areas in which we have invested. But all of it goes to protecting the society and delivering more benefit to you as members and attracting more new members. Notably, we adopted a new membership database. The name is Wild Apricot. Go figure. Who comes up with these names? I have no idea. With Wild Apricot, though, we got a new database for membership management and a new website. If you haven't tapped into that new website and the benefits that it brings you to access all of our archives. Try it, get a rainy day if you need to, but it is a wonderful, vastly improved internet access. We opened our surf museum. Megan will expound on that. The only point I want to make is that it was opened with 100% donated funds. We used none of the society's funds. Our fundraising, very capably handled as chair, is Bev Carmichael. Bev's with us tonight. Bev, wave to the crowd, please. We came to learn that there are some very wealthy surfers in St. Johns County. So if we could have the next slide, please. This is our agenda for tonight, the same agenda that's printed in the handouts, if you picked one up. And the first thing we need to do is approve the minutes of our 2021 annual meeting in January. Hopefully, if you needed to see them, you have. At this point, I would entertain a motion to approve those minutes. I have a motion. Do I have a second? Second. Okay. Now, if we could have a show of hands of the active members only. Those in favor? Okay. And those opposed? That motion carries. Well, that was easy. So we'll go to our next slide, please. And at this point, I'll turn this over to Nick McAuliffe, who will give the treasurer's report. Nick?
Thank you. Before I get into a couple of highlights of this year financially, I want to talk about the investment fund that we have. We started 14 years ago with really two objectives in mind. And I think it's important to keep these in mind, as we do on the board. First of all, we needed another source of income. One of the things that organizations such as ours are always looking for is more income and more ways of getting it. There are a lot of good traditional ways of getting it, but we need to reach out and do something differently. And one of the things to do is to have a fund such as this. And the interest from that fund has gone in two different directions. The first direction aims this objective, and we've raised, as we say up there, $2.2 million have gone to the operational budget over those 14 years. And that's made a big difference in terms of all different aspects of our organization and its activities. And at the same time, there's a second objective, and that is to grow this fund. The fund is there and it started. It wouldn't do us nearly as much good if it just stayed level. So what we do is we hope it'll grow. If you go to the next slide. That shows how it's been doing from its inception. So you can see it took a little, the green line across is the starting point, which was based on a $3 million sales and Barbead oil sketches. And since then, and I got to thank our advisor, Jeff Swanson from Southeastern Advisory Services, who's done a wonderful job through the years of working with us. I'm sorry, could you go back to some? And basically showing that the blue line is how the fund is done year after year. You can see there's ups and downs there, as happens with the market, but it's been doing very well recently. And it's actually earned it's gone up $1.7 million since it was started. So we've not only been able to put the $2 million I mentioned earlier into our operations, but we now stand 1.7 million higher than we were when this fund began. So it's been very successful, and I just wanted to make sure that everybody was kind of aware of what that does for our organization. Next slide. Just to remind everybody, our fiscal year runs differently than the calendar year. It runs from July 1st of each year to the next end of June. So what I'll be talking about mainly, just for the next couple of minutes, is the fiscal year 21, which ended in June of 2021. And this gives a general idea that just for expenses, how much we took out of the investment fund this past year, and that's there. I'm not going to get into a lot of the detail in some of these slides I have. I think people have some copies if they're interested, and you can certainly share other copies if people don't have them. They could get a hold of me or Megan if they want some of these details. I'm not going to go over all the numbers, thank goodness. So go to the next slide. This is a little more detailed account, and you'll be really happy I'm not going to go over the numbers. The blue at the top, so nice and blue, is basically the effects of COVID. You hadn't heard there's a COVID thing going on, and it's caused a lot of activity, a lot of ups and downs. It hit our organization particularly hard as we were actually closed for a while. We're operating in a smaller, shorter work week. Many people, a number of people on the staff actually were infected with COVID at one time or another. But basically, the admissions, the merchandise sales, and the weddings, the things that are connected to our sort of customer base, as you will, the organization were hit particularly hard. We spent a good deal of time this time last year, well, a little bit later, in March and April and May, trying to organize this budget, trying to figure out and guess what its effects would be. And we actually, it was actually a little worse than we thought. These numbers up there, for instance, 18,000 some blessed admissions, actually is below what we thought we were going to do, which was already below what we were used to doing. So we really took a pretty heavy hit in those areas. The good news on the other end is down a little further there, some of the grants. We received both last year, fiscal 20, and this past year, 21, we received over $70,000 in relief grants, mainly from the federal government, the payroll, federal payroll protection program. Originally it was a loan, but then the loans were forgiven because the forms were filled out properly and things worked well. But so we actually ended up a little bit ahead of the game in terms of that. And then further down, looking at the green, is where we got further grants this year. And I think that's one of the great success stories of the year. We got grants for an opening grant from the St. Augustine Foundation. We got several, two grants connected to doing important maintenance and repair on the Longius House. And I have to thank Paul Weaver for his expert support in that. Did a great job in making that come about. And the total this year was $172,000, just short of $173,000 in grants. And I really have to thank Megan, who's been the person who applied for these grants. They didn't just come to us. They had to be applied for. There's paperwork involved. There's keeping an eye on things and making sure that it's done well, that we have a good reputation and handling these grants and making sure all the bookkeeping is right. And that's all due to her work and her supervision. That $173,000 is a record for us in all the long history of the society in terms of grants in 1 year. And that's made a tremendous difference in our organization. A couple of the things at the bottom, John already mentioned the Horticulture Museum. That's paid for itself through donations, and will actually, in the long run, put us in black in that area because of future admissions to the society, memberships. We've got a number of very good memberships coming out of both who were involved with the surfing, and of course merchandise sales. But I also wanted to mention another record we had this year. We took in membership income just under $27,000. And that was a record, as far as I know. I haven't gone too far back researching, at least in this century. That's the highest amount. It's early in the century, so it's time to do even better. But that's the last high point which just exceeded was back in 2008. So it's really a good sign in terms of community support. I think that's one of the best barometers we have of our support in the community. And John mentioned the membership software, the Apricot software that was being used. And I heard one comment the other day about how organized our renewal processes. It's good to hear, because I think that's due to that software. And I think we'll be seeing some other increases as another membership plan that Megan will mention, which will probably draw some increased membership fees or income from. And no hurricane last year. Thank you. Thank you. You tried hard not to have one. And I'm just about finished. One more slide to a couple of things. This is fiscal 22, and that started in July, so we're close to halfway through it, or actually past halfway through it. I won't say much here except that the grants, several that were okay last year, we're still getting them coming in. Often what you have to do is pay up in advance for these grants, do the work, and then you get reimbursed. It's another great use of the investment fund at times. So those are still coming in. We have about 75,500 in a year grants coming in from that last year or new grants this year. And the COVID impact, we don't know what's going to happen now as we go through another round of things. But basically, both the admissions and the merchandise sales have caught up with our pre-COVID rates, which is really good news. That's a real strong support we're getting in terms of activity. And the only area that really is still below par is the wedding income and special event income. And I think that's has a lot to do with how people feel about planning ahead. You may get married on the spur of the moment, but you don't have a wedding reception on the spur of the moment. You have to plan that and pay for it and reserve it ahead of time. And the other thing, just to quickly mention, is the trustees, in part of their philosophy, which Sean mentioned, spending more to get more, has put back put in money for a couple of extra positions, some help with landscaping, getting the library up to what's past quota of staff, and hiring a membership and outreach person, a very talented person who will be doing that and helping see that as a long-term kind of investment and reaching out to the community, making us more available. And just to close, I'd like to thank John. It's been very nice working for the last 3 years. Sean was treasurer before me and has been very patient and showing me how to do this business. And I appreciate that. And it's been a good person to work with, as has the rest of the board. I'm looking forward to being able to actually get together in person and do it. And thanking Megan and the staff, of course. We have a terrific staff, and couldn't be happier with the situation we're in at this point. Thank you.
Thank you, Roger. Thank you, Nick. Sorry. I had Roger on my mind because he is the new outreach and development. At this time, we have another housekeeping matter to attend to. It's an important one. We will elect our new officer slate and a new board member for 2022. I think first we should give a big round of applause for the outgoing board member who has timed out. It's me. So I'd like to call please on Shelley DeVoe, who headed the nomination committee for the coming year. Shelley is the incoming president. And our bylaws call for that committee to nominate, recommend to the board to approve those nominations and submit to the membership for approval. So we'll be calling for a vote following Shelley's comments.
All right. Good evening. For election for the first term is Gail Phillips. Gail, are you here tonight? There you are. Would you stand, please? Gail is a candidate for election to the board for a 3-year term beginning this year, 2022. She serves as the executive director of the Lincolnville Museum and Cultural Center, featuring more than 450 years of St. Augustine's Black heritage, with interactive exhibits, educational programs, and live performances. She began as a volunteer after her husband joined the board of directors there and became a member herself before becoming the acting director, then the executive director. She also sits on the board of the St. Augustine Lighthouse and Maritime Museum, and she is honored by the Enterprising Women Leadership Institute and was recognized with the 2019 Rowita Award for her outstanding achievements and contributions to the history and culture of St. Johns County. This will be Gail's first term on the board, and it is a 3-year term. For election for a second term, Tim Forson. Tim, are you here tonight? Okay. Now, Tim is a candidate again for a second 3-year term beginning in 2022. He has been superintendent of the St. Johns County School District since 2017. He is a lifelong resident of St. Johns County and began his career as a secondary social studies teacher and coach 36 years ago. He has served as principal of Bartram Trail High School, principal of Mill Creek Elementary School, and the district's deputy superintendent for operations. He was recognized as St. Johns County Social Studies Teacher of the Year in 1992 and was awarded Principal of the Year in 2005. He attended St. Joseph's Academy and received his bachelor's degree from University of Central Florida and his master's degree from Nova Southeastern University. Nick McAuliffe, who you just heard from, our treasurer, is very important that he gets selected to this year. He's a candidate for election to the board for a second 3-year term, beginning in 2022. Nick is a well-known in St. Augustine for his dedicated service to the St. Augustine Archaeological Association, where he has served as both president and treasurer, and as a founding member of the Talamato Cemetery Preservation Association. He earned a BA in philosophy from the University of Notre Dame and an MS in Librarian Information Science from Simmons College. He has been recognized for his support of archaeology and historic preservation with the William C. Lazarus Award through the Florida Anthropological Society in 2014, the Richard Todd Award through the St. Augustine Archaeological Associates in 2015, and most recently with the Mary Call Darby Collins Award through the Florida Department of State and Florida Historical Commission in 2018. It was presented to a volunteer who has forever changed the course of historic preservation. Nick has a background in library science and has extensive familiarity with archaeological and historic preservation work in the city. Thomas Jackson, I know Thomas is here. Okay. Candidate for election to the board for a second 3-year term beginning this year. Thomas earned his master's degree in public administration from the University of North Florida and his bachelor's degree from Florida A&M University. Thomas is a lifelong St. Augustine resident, having graduated from St. Joseph's Academy. He was the recreation supervisor for the St. Johns County Board of County Commissioners, where he oversaw all areas of recreational activities, scheduling youth and adult sports and recreation programs. In 2016, Thomas was awarded the Red Cox Award for Community Service and Recreation from Flagler College in 2016. Thomas also serves on the board of the Fort Mosaic Historical Society. That is our slate of candidates for the next 3-year terms.
Okay, thank you, Shelley. So you know the drill. First, we need a motion to approve the recommendations of the board for the new renewals and our new board member. We have a motion. Do we have a second? We have a second. All in favor, please raise your hand. Anyone opposed? Congratulations to the new board. This will be our 2022 Board of Directors. If I could ask all members of that board and members who previously served as board members, presidents, executive directors, please stand. Let's give a round of applause. Thank you all for your service. It's been a lot of fun knowing all of you. I really enjoyed it. Let's see, what's next? Let's roll the slide and see what's ahead of us here. Oh, God, it's the last one. Hold on, let's see. I know we've got more. Oh, of course, of course. That's because we changed files. We'll hear now from Megan Wilson, who knows where all the bodies are buried and knows everything that's going on in the Historical Society. Megan, it's all yours.
Don't go far.
Can I go to the bar?
Yes, yes. Yes, you can.
I just wanted to, John, as John mentioned, John is our exiting board member. And John has not only served as a board member for 6 years, he has served as our treasurer, as our president-elect, and then this year as the president. And I just want to let everyone know, John has truly, truly been a hands-on, active president. He is the one who spearheaded the fundraising for the Surf Museum. And not only did he do that, but he generated a lot of enthusiasm within the community for the Surf Museum, a lot of support. And he has been supportive of all of our projects. Any wild ideas I've come to him with, he may roll his eyes when he's away from me, but he kind of agrees and nods and supports it. And so, John, thank you for 6 years and for being a board member, a mentor to me, and also a friend. We greatly appreciate your service. And I've got 2 plaques to hand to you. One is for your service as a board member for the last 6 years. And another is a gavel to commemorate your years of president. So thank you so much, John. We will miss you. Okie dokie. Thank you all for joining us this evening. Of course, the 2021 year had its own challenges. It was a little bit of a Groundhog's Day for us for 2020. But the Historical Society was able to really make some great strides in the 21 year and do some really great things. And slide, please. I'm happy to report on some of those activities we've been working on. Obviously, one of the major projects we've been working on in the 21 years is the St. Augustine Culture Museum. This museum was based on up to about 70 oral histories that we conducted locally. And really, when we approached this museum, we thought we were trying to think outside the box and how can we garner interest in people who may otherwise not take an interest in what we do at the Historical Society or know what we do at the Historical Society. So we thought about a contemporary history museum, and we started conducting these oral histories, and we thought, wow, we've got something special here. And so the museum is the result of that research. And it's really, what's unique about it is the museum invested, the community is invested in it. The community is, they have a stake in it. And it's their history as told through their eyes. And we think that's something really special. And apparently, so did our community. We garnered a lot of interest. You can see in the lower left-hand corner, one of our kind of local celebrities, Tim Deegan. He is a weatherman from First Coast News. He came, he did his entire weekend of weather reports when we opened the museum from the museum. I had to keep my eye on him because I am some of those boards. And but really it started to garner that interest. And next slide, please. Something else that the museum allowed us to do was new partnerships with local nonprofits. One that we're really proud of was we teamed up with on the right-hand side here a group called Surf Year Negra. And Surf Year Negra, their hashtag is their slogan is to diversify the lineup. And what Surf Year Negra really works to do is take young Black women and give them the tools, the transportation, the lessons to learn how to surf. And so we developed a Juneteenth celebration event at the Oldest House where young girls come from our local Boys and Girls Club. We teach them all about the Oldest House. We teach them about Frank Butler and Butler Beach. And then we all go surfing. And it was a lot of fun. We had 12 young ladies show up. Only 2 had ever even seen the beach before. So this was a major feat. All 12 women, all 12 young ladies, by the time we were done, were surfers. They were all standing up and surfing. And this is not just a one and done deal. This is something that they do once a month, and they continue to work with these young ladies throughout the year. Also, we had this group, the St. Augustine Board Riders Club came. They had their annual event there. And these are people, everybody in this who have never been in our properties. They've never been in our spaces before. And this allowed for a fresh, new people to come in to check out and see what we're doing. And I'll be honest, it made us cool. So we were able to do that as well. Next slide, please. The other thing that we were able to do was create this Facebook page. This was really an interesting kind of an experiment, but what it did was it made the St. Augustine Historical Society more of a household name in our community. We started this page with just 2 people, myself and Jeanette, talking about surfing. Neither one of us are surfers. And so we were really proud to see that it's now 2,000 members strong. It's highly interactive. It's what's beautiful about this Facebook page is the era we live in right now, where it can be a little polarizing on social media. People can kind of get ugly. This page has been alive now for 3 years, and it's nostalgic and it's happy, and we haven't had any issues with it. So we've really given people a positive place to go in the last few years and share their memories. We also were able to create Bob Naraki, did the surf culture, did a beautiful job with our Ellis Scribano, our surf culture issue of Ellis Scribano. But really, like I said, our point here was to kind of show people that we're not just a bunch of people that are hoarding photographs, old photographs, and just writing down dates. What we're doing at the Historical Society really encompasses a lot more than that. And we want to show the community that history can be exciting. It's not static, and neither is the Historical Society. We are changing, we are growing, and we are going to continue to do that. So I think this was a really great, kind of point to take off and show what great things we're going to do in the future. Next slide, please. Another big project that we were working on this year was the Lombius House. As many of you know, the Fernandez Lombius House, it is a National Historic Landmark, and it is under our complete control and care. I worked with Paul Weaver and Ken Smith on 2 grants this year. One was an IRMA sub-grant from the National Park Service. That totaled about $90,000. It gave us a new roof, it gave us new shutters, a new line wash. And then the other grant that we worked on was to create a historic structures report. If you're not aware of what that is, this is a highly important document that will serve as a blueprint in moving forward in how we preserve this extremely important structure. I know John mentioned it, but Paul I'm gonna call you out a little bit, Paul. Paul has donated countless, we lost count, to be honest with you.
I'll be giving you.
Just don't block my phone number, and we'll be in good shape. Countless hours of his expertise, his time, and he has created this, like I said, this extremely important document. This will help us to seek grants in the future to take care of the Columbia's house. So Paul, thank you. He is a past two-time president as well. This year, we celebrated the Fort Mosaic Historical Society with the Herschel Shepherd Award for Excellence in Preservation. We think that what they're doing over there aligns beautifully with the purpose of the award, and we truly have had a great time celebrating with them, and we really look forward to working hopefully more with the Fort Mosaic Historical Society in the future. That's fine. There we go. Perfect. Also, we work, a couple things we got done this year was a new roof on our library. One of the things I'm sure many of you are aware, but if you're not, we have a partnership with the University of Florida Historic St. Augustine. And what that is an annual amount that they give towards the maintenance of our buildings. This is huge. Our structures are in better shape than they have been in decades. And this is really thanks to UFHSA and what they're doing. And what they're doing within the city of St. Augustine is not only benefiting the Historical Society, it's benefiting the entire city, and it's benefiting future generations, because we're in a good place. All of our structures have a new roof. That's huge. And they're all, like I said, just in excellent shape. So I wanted to mention to them as well. This year, as in every year, the educational program is really, programming is at the heart of what we do at the Historical Society. And we've been holding numerous student events on all of our properties. As you can see, these are so many of the familiar faces of our staff. Everybody participates. We not only hold these student events for Flagler, UNF, UF, St. John's River. We also are in an internship program that continues to strengthen. Dr. Wesley King, he's on our board. He's really solidified our partnership with the Flagler College Honors Program. And the beauty of that is it's reciprocal. We're getting some really quality projects from some really bright students, and then these students are getting some real experience, some real hands-on experience with the areas of interest. So we're going to continue to build upon and expand, because educational programming is at the heart of what we do. We also have been doing a lot of collaborative work. We worked together with, we were contributors to Resilience, Black Heritage in St. Augustine, and we will continue to do that in the 22 year. We've done some reciprocal programming with the Lighthouse this year. We did, we worked together with the Florida Trust for Historic Preservation to bring a window workshop to our community. And so we see it as it can only benefit the community if our like-minded institutions combine their knowledge and their resources to create and strengthen our educational programs. So we'll continue to do that in the 22 year as well. The next slide, I really just wanted to include this because I thought you might think I'm embellishing. But we did turn our eyes towards virtual programming during the COVID 2 years now. And one of those, Charles Tingley, as you all know Charles, he did this really great tour of the oldest house for the 18th century clothing company, Townsend's. And as you can see, it's had over 400,000 views. And we are continuing to have people coming into our spaces saying, I saw that video of Charles Tingley. So my cousins called me from Chicago and told me, I just watched the greatest video of this guy named Charles. So I know exactly what that was. So this, I think, is what we're trying to show is we've always been known as St. Augustine's hidden treasure, and we're dropping the hidden part. We really are. Of course, none of this, next slide, could be possible without our volunteers. We have some of the best volunteers around, and I'm sure you're familiar with these names. These are usually the names we see every year. Bob Stevens is always on the top of our list. 2,260 hours, even in the face of the pandemic. So if you're a volunteer, do you mind standing so that we can acknowledge you? Or raise your hand.
Raise your hand.
Also, John mentioned it, I would also like to acknowledge our staff. Since I've been in this position, we've had a number of challenges that have come our way. We've had mainly 2 major hurricanes and a lingering pandemic. And we have a staff who not only has risen to the occasion each time, but they've even gone higher. They've gone above and beyond, and we continue to expand and grow even in the face of all of these challenges. And so, again, staff, thank you, and I'd like you to stand again because I know we did. I know I've got some docents out here who weren't acknowledged at first. So please go ahead and stand up. This is our excellent staff, excellent docents. Thank you. Slide, please. But we have not forgotten about those that are the ones that underpin the whole organization, and that's our core membership. So we took a lot of time in the 2021 year looking at the membership, looking at the benefits, and seeing how can we maximize the benefits for our members. What can we do to give back to make the membership to the Historical Society truly special and meaningful? And John talked about this, but we do have this new membership database. It's incredible. If you haven't given it a try, it's very user-friendly. You can access a number of digital archives from our collection. We've also provided links to other important digital archives throughout the state. And the purpose was really to try to make everything in one easy location for you. So this is your new members only page. You can go in, you can update your info, you can register for events, you can check out our calendar of events. If you guys have any issues at all, please just pick the phone, give us a call. We'll walk you through the process. Myself or one of our knowledgeable staff members can assist with this. We try to make it as smooth as possible, but there's always some issues when we make such a large transition. So I just wanted to let you know to really, please explore this if you haven't. All of our YouTube videos, tonight's talk will be on there. Access to just a number of really wonderful things. We think this is going to be a treasure trove. And what we're trying to do is kind of give a renewed interest in St. Augustine history, and we think this is going to be great. This is a 3-tiered approach to improving upon our membership. So this is one. And then I've got something to announce that's really exciting tonight, and that is that we have a brand new membership category. And that is our Heritage Business Membership. We think this is going to be really special. This is something that acknowledges and our businesses who've been here for 50 or more years. HARB considers a structure that is 50 years or older to be historically significant. So we thought that was a great number to go with. We think it's a huge feat for a business to be around for 50 plus years. And we think that deserves recognition and acknowledgement. And so there's a lot of benefits here, but a couple of things to just kind of highlight is visibility. We are creating a beautiful plaque worthy of displaying at your business that says that you are a Historical Society Heritage Business member. We will also be displaying that in our museum as well, and in any events that we hold in our East Florida Gazette, in our Ellis Urbano, on our website. The other thing is a one use annually of our spaces. We have a number of beautiful spaces for events, and this will now be available to our business members annually, once a year, to use for whatever event that they would like to use. And so we're just excited about this one. And what I'm really excited about tonight is that we have 2 founding members already. And so I would like to go ahead and acknowledge them. And they're here, and those are the oldest wooden schoolhouse, which is Elaine Frazier, and St. Francis Inn. Yeah, there's Joe. So if you qualify for our Heritage Business membership, you will be in some really great company. And so please stay tuned. In the coming weeks, we'll be releasing a lot more information on the business membership.
I've also had Fountain View join.
And the Fountain of
And
Youth.
Fountain View.
All right.
Meeting, and I got to.
Very nice. Excellent. Thank you, Lorraine. Now, I would like to ask one of our new members to our team to come and tell you just a little bit about that third tier of the new membership benefits. He is a historian. He is a professor at Flagler. He's a very familiar face, and now he's our historian, and he is going to help us a lot with outreach and our membership. Dr. Roger Smith.
Thank you, Megan. I don't know about you, I was really excited when I got here tonight and I saw the bar. So I found that anytime I speak, if my audience has access to alcohol, I become exponentially smarter. So that was great. North American Reciprocal Museums, or NARM, is a new program that we are stepping into 2022 with. And this is something that is for you all, okay? It's available to our membership. NARM has a level that they require that members join at, and if the membership is at that level or higher, then they automatically have NARM membership. So what does NARM membership mean? That means, if you want to pull up that PDF, that you now have reciprocal access to 1,198 similar museums and historical societies. And there we go. If you could just go to the top and then slowly, there's your list, state by state. I mean, just Florida. If you can get up here and see how many of these are in Florida that you will now have access to. And you can go into any of the museums or societies or entities on this list, and your membership here will be treated reciprocally at their memberships there. And here's the really cool part: for the historical society to be a part of this costs a whole $175. Okay, for the whole thing. So this is something that is really cool and is going to really enhance your membership. Now, if you go to their website, we'll pull that up. If you go to the website, you can go, here's one that's already on there, and we can just hit that. You can hit the search, say, for Columbus, Ohio. And if within 15 miles of Columbus, Ohio, you instantly know where the red flags are. Matter of fact, if we go a little farther, you can see, the other way. There we go, keep going. There we are. You can see what museums in the Columbus area that you have access to, and that you have membership entitlement to. If and just so you don't think I'm pulling up a ringer, you know, somebody, you know, throw out a city, we'll stick it on there and let you see what you have membership and access to. I mean, it's something that you can not only use anytime you go anywhere else in the United States, Mexico, Canada, or Bermuda, but it's something that you can do for your kids and your grandkids, and they don't have to be down to St. Augustine to enjoy it. If you have grandkids in Cincinnati, and you can buy them a membership at the St. Augustine Historical Society, and give it to them as a stocking stuffer, and then the whole family has access to whatever museums are in their area and wherever they travel, wherever they go in this area. So it is tremendously helpful in increasing the value of your membership. If you can go to the next PowerPoint. These are the numbers that I was given at the end of the third quarter, and this gives you an idea of our membership in a nutshell and what levels that we have our members at, and what levels that the cost is. And the NARM membership, in order to have that access, requires you be at least at the contributor level or higher, okay? So, because what they ask is that if they're going to provide world-class museums to where you could bring yourself, your kids, and your grandkids to, then they want the same kind of reciprocal, benefit from us. So if you'll hit the next one. This means that based on these numbers here, 81% of our membership do not qualify for these benefits because they're at the family level or lower. And it makes a lot of sense because it's the family level, it gives you, your kids, your grandkids, and since you can only use it here in St. Augustine at the Historical Society, then when the grandkids came down, that makes sense. Now that it can be used anywhere in the country, where you have those NARM associations, that's if you will come in at the contributor level, then it's you, your kids, your grandkids, anywhere they want to go, anywhere that they live. And so hopefully what we're going to see is a tremendous increase in the percentage of our members who will have access to this and have this tremendous benefit.
Okay, and as we look ahead to our 2022 year, we can look forward to some excellent programming that we've got in store. We will be hosting a number of reenactment events this year, which is something we have not been doing before. We will see the Historical Society properties come to life in a whole new way. We're really excited about working together with the reenactors in that. We will be hosting, our next lecture is Gregory Leonard. He's going to be talking to us about Hastings potato farmers in February. We're also going to be working together with the Lincolnville Museum, the Chris Bellart Museum, and Yellow House of Jacksonville to bring a special exhibit entitled Magic, Mirth, and Mortality to our spaces, and that will come in April. It looks at the experiences of Black motherhood, and like I said, that will be in April. But in May, which is Preservation Month, we will be celebrating the 2022 Herschel Shepherd Award recipient. With this award we developed in 2016, we have honored Dr. Kathleen Deegan, the Fort Mosaic Historical Society, the Accord, and the Lighthouse. And this year, I am very pleased to announce that we will be honoring the Friends of Fish Island. We're really excited about that. The Friends of Fish Island was formed by a group of interested citizens to protect Fish Island and its significant historic and cultural resources from development. The group has done extraordinary work over the last few years to protect and educate the public about this ecological and historically significant site. And they have worked with us, worked with both the city and the state to continue to do so to ensure its protection. So we believe that this aligns with the Shepherd Award that states that it is to be conferred upon that person, organization, group, or project that makes an extraordinary contribution to the preservation of St. Augustine's historical legacy. Congratulations to the Friends of Fish Island. We will be celebrating that, like I said, in May, and please stay tuned. We'll get all those details to you. Without further ado, though, I think it's time to turn the mic over to tonight's speaker. Bob Naraki is our Chief Librarian for the St. Augustine Historical Society Research Library. He joined the library in 2010. He holds a bachelor's in history from Buffalo State and a master's of library and information science from Catholic University. He has worked in records and information management for the Virginia State Library and New Jersey State Archives, as well as for private industry. His first job was librarian with the York County Historical Society in York, Pennsylvania, and his current job is with the Research Library. May I ask for a round of applause for Bob Naraki.
Well, before you start, I just want to say the library is also trying to escape its stodgy views, though I must confess what Megan said, the people who hoard photographs, yep, that's me. But we are trying to do, we've got a great staff and they've been working very hard to digitize and to try to get as much information out there as possible so that you can get out the content DM and other ones through our new web portal. And you can get access to all of those interviews that we did for the oral histories, for all of our oral histories that we have. And it's just a fabulous thing. We're moving in rapidly into the 21st century. And just as proof positive, we now have our own mascot. This is Reggie the raccoon. So do please look around. He's going to be showing up on social media for that. Thank you. If he does bite, I had to nip me when I was looking. Okay, well, why don't we get started? But actually, what I did want to also say is I really want to thank Megan. I want to thank all the staff. And I want to thank you, the membership and the board, for all the support the library has received over the years. We've been making a lot of progress, but we could not have done it without everybody's support. I just want to say thank you very much. It's been a great opportunity, and things have been going really great. So, St. Augustine on the move. We thought it appropriate to do something that would talk about transportation, considering we're right here. I remember walking around going, yeah, I should have kept that car. I could be retired right now. For the first 300 plus years of St. Augustine's existence, transportation was pretty simple. There were dirt roads, Indian paths, and people getting from here to there by walking or riding horses or in the carts. Long distance travel was easier by water, either through boat or through a river or creek or over the ocean. With the Victorian era, new forms of transportation began to be developed, but it still required animal or wind power. The dawn of the 20th century brought the combustion engine, and things got wild. But first, let's take a look at some of the early ones. Okay, so here we have, this is the plaza. And so you have the horse, you have the guys who are walking, and I do especially like the little kid who's getting a ride in the wheelbarrow. So we had to get along with human power. Here's the, if you thought Bay Street, which is now Avenida Menendez, was bad, well, even back in the horse and buggy era, it was pretty crowded. I can understand why the woman has her face hidden. If I had to ride a donkey cart, I would probably hide myself too, but we had to go there somehow. Okay. And we also use, this is a Lightning Express, or the keep of a Florida cracker. So, once old Dobbin, or I don't know what you would call him, the ox did his job. You don't have to do it every time. You can eat them. Can't do that with your car. Okay. Next. Okay, next. So here we have high wheels on the beach. Really cool looking, but I've seen how you had to get onto them and how to get off of them. They're really good to ride, but you can't stop and boy, trying to get on or off of something else. Those wheels are about 5 feet high. So there's a special way to do it. Okay. Now behind the Lightner, where it was the Alcazar, they actually created a cycling academy, because God knows you have to have training in order to learn how to ride a bicycle. And we just tell you a little bit what they said. Let's see. Yeah, Fred Allen, who was the manager, well, he'd be found in the billiard room at all times. While Professor Rich, and I didn't realize you needed a professor to be a professor to teach bicycles, was constantly occupied giving lessons on the courts. And this is from the Library of Congress collection. One article said you could learn to ride a bicycle or wheel in only 6 weeks. So they must have had quite a program. I guess there was a test at the end. So here you see a picture. It used to be they would just take down the nets on the tennis courts, and you would learn how to ride your bike. So in 1896, the Tatler, which is a publication in that period of time of our hotels in town, had a description of what a woman wore to ride. Now, they didn't really say what men's fashions were, but it said that Mrs. Bolton wears a handsome and sensible costume. It consists of long stockings with high-laced boots coming almost to the knee, where the bloomers are buttoned. These are of the same material of the rest of the dress, a nice soft flannel. The skirt reaches halfway to the ankles, very daring, is gored and wide at the bottom. On the front of the hip, on either side is a broad pleat, cut with leather buttons for about 20 inches. This gives the knee full play when riding. The Norfolk jacket is double-breasted and very full, buttoning loosely over a blue and red sweater and held in place with a leather belt. The jacket and skirt is finished with a leather cordon buttons. The cap is finished with a badge of the New York Wheelmen's Association. No wonder it took you 6 weeks to learn how to ride a bike. Yes. And this just gives you an idea of, yeah, if I tried to ride something, even in my full dress outfit, I'd probably kill myself. As you can see, they look similar to current bicycles, but bad brakes, bad tires, but they used it to get around town. And here we have an example. This is before 1927, because that is the old bridge across the Kansas, but this evidently they're going to have a parade. Here's all the kids with their bikes all dressed up. So we've always had a love-hate relationship with automobiles, but they've had a big impact in St. Augustine by allowing the middle-class tourists to come into town when the 1%ers moved down further south. So this is probably the earliest picture of a automobile here in St. Augustine. It's really, as you can see, it's not the best picture, but it's from 1901, and you can see this is the period of time when it was still just basically a carriage body, and they would have a tiller stick, and they would go possibly 2 or 3 miles an hour. But there they are in front of the city gate. And here we have a couple with their chauffeur down at Vale Point. They look rather happy in there. And this is a picture, I'm not sure where this came from. It was in our collection, but I can just imagine the horses are telling the guy, get a horse. The car is not starting. He's got his belt, he's got his suspenders down, he's having a heck of a time. And they just got the greatest look. It's just funny. Okay, well, once you get the car, you've got to give them something to drink. So here we have a mobile oil. I remember when they said put a tiger in your tank, whatever. They used to have a gargoyle. I'm not sure about putting a gargoyle in your tank, but that's a very early gas station here in St. Augustine. And here we have one outside the city gate, a little bit later, probably the 30s. They persisted in calling it the city gates, even though we only had one gate. Charles has spent the last 12 years reminding me of that because I keep saying doing plural. And then here's one of the gas stations we used to have here from the 60s. Jim Stagey, who used to be on the board, once did a program about gas stations. And I totally forgot what this is, but there's a very specific style to this gas station. But not only do you need gas, but you need food. So this is the old Dixie Highway, and here we have Bill's Barbecue. So that's probably from the 1920s. Okay. And God only knows you can't have a road with tourists on it without selling them jellies, pecan candies, and alligators. Take an alligator home, folks. Put it in the sewer. So this is one of the projects we have. Okay, roads. You think you got bad roads now? Go ahead. No, this guy is really driving fast into town. Back when it was the Shell Road, it was called the Shell Road because it was paved with shells. I don't have a picture of it, but at one point they decided to take palm trees and just slice them like a loaf. And then they tried paving the city streets with palm tree cuts. Really nice, looked really good. The only problem was they didn't last very long, rotted pretty quickly. Okay. When you see old cars, probably from the 1920s and 30s, you often see they have multiple tires on it. Well, if you're driving over this kind of a road, you're definitely going to need a number of tires because they will go flat. I'm amazed how well they survived. Here's another picture. This is actually from the Meyer collection. He took a lot of pictures with his sister Jenny. You can barely see her. He seemed to love putting her out in his weirdest situations, but here's poor Jenny, stuck out in the woods out on this weird track. This is another great picture. This is on the old Dixie Highway, the brick road. The one guy is spinning his wheels, you can see, because of all the dust being thrown out. Two guys are looking at him going, yeah, you're stuck all right. Not pushing him or anything. And the lady's having a good time going, yeah, well, this guy's an idiot, he can't get out. But it is one of the problems. You get off the road, you get into the sand and you're stuck. So hopefully those two guys figured out that you needed to push the thing to get it out. And this gives you a real good idea of what the brick road looked like. There's a few patches of brick road left, some out near Flagler Estates, etc. But at most, they were 9 feet wide. They were brick. And as you can see, they were, you know, pretty bouncy roads. But the Dixie Highway, which came through in the 1915 to bring all those Northerners down south, was a big deal. And Hastings had a huge parade in honor of opening the highway back in 1950. And this is one of the pictures from it. And just to show that, yeah, things were bad in the 80s, just as they are now. Here's a picture from our collection of big traffic jam. Okay. And then in the 1920s, the first tours were called tin can travelers. Why? Because they rode in tin Lizzies, the old cars, or mostly because whenever they left their campsite, there'd be a pile of tin cans left over from all the food they were making. But this is out in West Augustine. This gives you an idea of what these folks put up with. Basically, what they would do is, I guess they would get war surplus tents and just cover them with the cars. So these were very, very primitive camps. When you get further on down south in the late 20s, early 30s, they actually created better camps that had some food sites and things like that. But for the most part in this area, they were pretty primitive. Here's another example of one of the camps. They look a real happy couple, but you can see that they just got their little hidey hole set up. And this is Meyer and his sister again, and she's cooking, and he's fixed up the stove so the smoke's not going into her face. But once again, all it is just a hunk of canvas over the car. Okay. But this is my favorite. Probably one of the very first RVs, the old Model E, and they actually built a house on it. Yeah, I mean, that is pretty cool. So that's a fun picture that we have. Planes. So there were planes in St. Augustine. So this is, I think his name was, oh geez. Can't check. I think this was Jimmy Ward from 1911. Now, I'm not sure if this was actually taken. Yeah, Jimmy Ward. 1911. I'm not sure whether they did make a composite, because the guy is flying, whether he made a composite showing him flying over that or it actually was flying. But Jimmy Ward did come down, landed on the beach in 1911, and evidently came down to do a little show out here. And if you think it's tough to catch a plane now, yeah, this guy's going out and grabbing onto the wing. I'm not sure where your luggage was, but that's it. Okay, and here's another example. This was Mabel Cody. She was a barnstormer, so this, in the previous picture, these folks were part of the flying circus, so they went out to the beach and did all these cool tricks. Okay. So this is another picture. We don't know why the plane landed, why it's there, but there's some folks from the city here. Here's the pilot, young lady, I think. But we have a guy who's got a golf clubs, and there's a guy with another set of golf clubs. So I'm not sure whether they landed near the golf club or he was being delivered here. But there it is. Okay. And this is the Florida Airways. They lasted about a year and a half. And this was the flight. I mean, they basically bounced from place to place. I think they started in Miami, ended up in Jacksonville, and I think they made like about 10 different stops in between. So here they have in 1946, this is, I think one of these guys is the mayor of the land. There's the pilot, and there are two senoritas, and they're going to give the pilot a great big bottle of booze. And I certainly hope he didn't drink that before he flew. But it was very short-lasted, lived. It did not last very long. They got a temporary license and using surplus airplanes, and they folded rather quickly. Trains have been a big impact here. Yeah, that's not a train, I understand. But in the early days, in order to come down to St. Augustine, because there was so much trouble getting through the sandbars in front of the harbor, folks would come down on a steamboat down the St. John's River to Decoy. Okay. And here we have, this is another Meyer drawing, but it's off an 1885 photograph. And so it shows there's the steamboat that came in, and here's the little logging engine they used. It's the DG emblem at the terminus, so that's at Decoy. And this is the part I like. The engineer was discharged for running this engine over 7 miles an hour. Henry Flagler, when he came in town, took the railroad. And it's a big reason why he bought other railroads to try to make it faster. Because I think he said it took him something like 4 hours to get from Decoy to St. Augustine. It was a pretty bumpy ride. Okay. And if you're ever going on King Street West, as soon as you get over Route 1, to the right-hand side, there's the Brody liquor store and that, and there's that big empty spot now where Mariani's used to be. There's a little road called Depot Road. And the reason is that's where the St. John's, where the St. Augustine and Decoy Railroad Depot was. So fairly primitive, as you can see, that open cars here with a logging engine. But it was ours. It was the only way to get in there. Okay. And this is the Halifax, this is Jacksonville, St. Augustine and Halifax Railroad. This is a railroad that Henry Flagler purchased, one of the first railroads he purchased. This is out near Volusia County someplace, but this gives you an idea of what the trains look like. Looks like something out of, it's probably the 1870s. And once Henry developed the Florida East Coast Railroad, here is the depot. And as you can see, we have all of the cars, all of the train cars out here. There's the depot, and here are all the St. Augustine transfer wagons to take everybody off the train out to the hotels. So if you ever go out Malaga Street, right in front of the fire department, you'll see a fountain. That fountain, that little fireman's park, is what is left of this original train station. Next one. So these are now the Flagler dormitories, but they give you an idea how big of an infrastructure that the FEC Railroad had. So they had roundhouses, they had shops, there were buildings all up and down Liberia Street, King Street, west of the Matanzas, paint shop cars. Basically what they would do is if one of the Palm Beach hotels, Miami hotel, needed tablecloths, needed food, whatever, they would telegraph it up north, and they fill up the train car with all the things that they needed to be delivered that night. Okay. And this sadly is the last FEC railroad train heading to Miami, the last passenger. It started in 1916, just out past Malaga Street. One of the old streamlined cars. Okay, boats. Boats played a big part. Okay. Once again, here's the Osceola, one of those steamers that used to be plying the St. John's and Ocklawaha rivers. Okay. So we used to get these two or three master boats here into town. I think this is a Meyer photograph again, so it's probably 1870s, 1880s. Okay. And this is a great shot of a 3 or 4 masted schooner on the high seas. And this is what happens if you make a left turn when you're not supposed to. So this is looking at the car, it's probably about the 1920s period of time. So the ship was up there. I presume they eventually got it off during the high tide. And as always, Matanzas Bay, you had a yacht club in there, and people were always cruising around on their boats. Okay. And then the beach. Everybody loves the beach, including folks in cars and other vehicles. So when the first bridge across the Matanzas was built, we had the St. Augustine and South Beach Railway, except it was a horse and buggy. So there was a ticket office, you can get across, and they take you to the lighthouse. Next. So then they graduated to this little train. They would do the same thing, take you back and forth. Okay. And then we moved up into a trolley. St. Augustine had a very short-lived trolley line. It went up and down Avenida Menendez, Bay Street, out King Street, and go down South Central Avenue down to South Street. But it didn't last very long. Okay. And what you do when you went to the beach, well, of course, you had to look at alligators. So originally, so these are some of the alligator heads that were out there. Okay. And some more. Yeah, I haven't figured out why people like to look at alligators, but there we are. With that. Okay. So once you would get down to Anastasia Island, this is probably before the train arrived. You would take your boat across, and you would hop on this one horsepower cart. Next. If you wanted to go to North Beach, you could get on Capo's North Beach ferry. They're looking to have a fun time. Luckily, it never sank because, like the Titanic, it had only one lifeboat. A lot more people than one lifeboat. Okay. And when you got down there, they also had a 1 horsepower machine. But luckily, the horse was to the side, so if you were in front, the view was a lot better. And we also had a pig to visit you. Okay. And here we have after the bath. If you take your bath, it's one of the lovely little bathing suits. You get washed off with your daring flannels, and you can hop back onto the ferry, onto the train, back to the ferry. Okay. The alligator farm moved. Here's that picture of the train and the train car again. But if you notice here, you can see spring, and this says burning spring. What they did was they ran a pipe out into the water and just sort of put it up just barely above the water. And every morning, somebody would go out and light it. And they called it the burning springs, along with their alligators and the other things that they had. Okay. And there's another picture of the train pulling in. So, and they had a substantial little station up there. Okay. This is kind of a neat way. You didn't need 4-wheel drive. Here they have a wooden pathway getting you down to the beach. How they got the car onto the beach, I haven't figured out yet. So maybe it was just constantly there. Okay. And here's back when St. Augustine had huge, wide beaches. It was good for races. So this is a 1915 motorcycle race. So that's pretty cool. And here we have all of our, probably a little bit later than that, looking at the cars, probably 1920s. But they had a number of motorcycle races down. Okay. And somebody created a little race car up and down the beach. So, you know, Ormond Beach, you go down there, this is the birthplace of speed, birthplace of racing. St. Augustine also had it during that same period of time. It's just that the beach shrank over the years. Okay. And in 1947, we had skeeters on the beach. I would love to talk to some folks who have the skeeters. I understand maybe 1 or 2 people still have skeeters in town. Basically, they would take the old cars and chop them up and hop them up. And in 1947, they had a couple of races on the beach. So it's pretty cool. I think it'd be fun to do a little oral history with the folks that are out there. You can see there's a lot of cars on the beach and not very many people. Okay. And this guy, I mean, he did his own little special, the Richardson special. Kind of cool. Okay. You may have seen this blown up picture out there, but they took a World War II ambulance and converted it to the St. Augustine life-saving corps ambulance. Okay. And here we have some guys who got a whole series of these photographs, but basically what they did was water skied behind a skier. So better hope they like it, then stop real quick. Okay. And what would be the beach without a wonderful accessory? And I am talking about the VW Bug. If you can't afford a Woody, but this is, and I forget her name. She's one of the Emerson, a very well-known surfer in town. Great. Next one. And for the staff group, we also have what's the use of a pickup truck without a couple of funky guys in the back? So that's a problem. Robert, what year do you think that truck is? 80s or 90s? Okay. So yeah, okay. And then we've had a lot of unusual forms of transportation. first one. So every couple of years, I get a call saying, you know, I've got this great photograph. My grandmom or my grandfather or somebody in my family flew over the fort and say, okay, well, send me a picture of what it looks like. Well, this is what it is. It's a composite photograph. Wolf and Carver, the Harrises. So you can see, I always have to tell, okay, that's great. Do you notice that the propeller's not moving? In fact, I don't even see a propeller. You notice the engine's made out of wood? So yeah, they would take this picture of the studio and then they would just slap this thing on top of another one. But folks constantly tell us about they're so proud of their family. They're the first to fly over San Augustine. Okay, next. This is a Florida auto, another one of the Harris's photographs. Alligator, there's this cart. What he's throwing to him, I don't know. I don't think a ball or whatever that is going to do much good to an alligator. Okay, next one. And here we have the same type of jump photograph. So here's the St. Augustine, Florida. And so they've got the cart. And personally, I hope this guy got bit because he's pulling on that poor donkey's ears. He's holding on to the ears. And this guy, of course, is sitting on another stuffed animal. Okay, next. And what would St. Augustine be without ostriches? If you have alligators, you had to have ostriches. So here we have a few of those guys. Next. And of course, why not have riding an ostrich? So here we have a young man who is riding at the ostrich farm. I've also seen them pulling carts. Now, you know, I watch a lot of nature shows and they talk about don't get too close to an alligator because it'll bite your leg off. Well, these guys can kill you with a kick, so I'm not sure why I would want to get too close to either. What?
Button on the bottom.
This one.
Yep.
Yeah. No, that one. Okay, sorry about that. So yeah, we had ostriches down. Okay, next. Right close to where the library is was a building that D.P. Davis built, and it was a diorama of what he wanted Davis Shores to look like. So it's quite a bit. But what I find cool is the fact that he had all of these boats, all of the ships. We also had an amphibious airplane. So it's pretty neat. Next slide. And this just gives you an idea of what the scale was. This was, I was not mistaken, was going to be either the country club or a hotel. Very, very fancy. And if you want to see more of the Bridge to a Dream, has a lot of these pictures. But this is, they were all made out of plaster. As you can see, there's real water. I thought it was glass for a while. That's sort of a representation of the Bridge of Alliance. So pretty cool. And there's the wool suit. Okay, next. This is the Orthocopter in 1920. The idea was you would pull behind a car, get up in the air, and you would flap the wings. And let's see next. Needless to say, it didn't work. I don't know how far he got up, but he came down very, very quickly. There's the pilot, and he survived unharmed. Next. And David Shores, the haul people around, had a whole fleet of these buses. Really kind of neat. This is run by the Blue Bus Line. I'm not sure, but it says DP Davis Properties, David Shores. So maybe they were repurposed from over in Tampa when he was selling buildings out there. But he did sell, he had about 10 or 12 of these. Next. And this is St. Augustine. It was full of inventors. And let me just find the information about this guy because this is really kind of cool. This was the windmobile. I found this in about 3 or 4 other pictures about this, and I could not figure out what the heck is this. This is the most bizarre thing I ever saw. This was right around 1940. And then, luckily, somebody sent in a copy of a page from the Popular Mechanics, and it had a little article about this. So this was from the May 1940 issue of Popular Science. At the top of the page was a picture of the man in his little car. It's entitled Breeze's Power Electric Car. Article said free air takes the place of gasoline to drive what J.C. Thomas of St. Augustine, Florida calls his windmobile. While he parks, the breezes turn the windmill at the front, operating a generator that charges the batteries. 12 storage batteries. Then through an electric motor, the batteries propel the car at speeds up to 50 miles an hour. According to the inventor's figure, it costs him 1/4 cent a mile. So that's all I can find about Mr. Thomas. I was able to learn that about the windmill deal. I would love to get a couple of those movies just to see what it looked like, but haven't found any of those. But Davis was born in Batavia, New York, very close to my hometown of Lancaster, New York. His father was a grocer, lived in there until the 1920s. And in the 1920s, showed he was an apprentice in a jewelry store. Then he said he was an actor. In the 1930 census, he was living in St. Augustine. He was a planter in an orange grove. The 1940 census lists his occupation as inventor, working for himself. And during the Second World War, he enlisted in the Coast Guard, serving until 1945. Where he lived after the war is unclear, but he did request a veteran's home headstone when he died in 1961 and was buried in Evergreen Cemetery. So he constantly reinvented himself. So all of you millennials who changed things a couple of years, he was your precursor. This is another interesting set of photographs, something you don't expect to see. But back when the water was in the moat around the fort, somebody thought they'd put a sailboat in there. And there you have the young couple enjoying their time. So we've got about 7 or 8 of those photographs. And that's all, folks. I just want to say, I mean, you know, you think about all of these fun things when travel, but look at what's floating around now. We have motorcycles, we have mopeds, we have those weird little cars that are zipping along, they're about 4 foot high, and you can't steer. We have electric skateboards, we have everything. Segways, yeah. Electric scooters. And my wife would like to get on a Segway. I'm like, okay. I don't want to try that. So who knows, maybe in another 20 years, somebody will be doing a similar talk and we'll find out what other cool things they did. So thanks very much, folks.
Well, thank you. That was wonderful, entertaining. I'm sure everyone enjoyed all those remarks. I asked Bob before this, I said, what qualifies you to speak on transportation? And he says, well, I work in a research library. I'm a researcher and I got a Florida driver's license. Worked out pretty good, Bob. Thank you. Fantastic. We are almost at conclusion. Shelley DeBose and Elaine Fraser have asked for 2 minutes. I have no idea what they're up to, but I give you Shelley and Elaine.
All right, just for a couple of minutes here. Elaine contacted me yesterday and we have a special gift for John and Megan for all their hard work on the Surf Museum, made specifically for each one of them, personalized. And I'll turn this over to Elaine to talk about it.
Actually, if you wouldn't mind holding on to the microphone, that'd be great. Honestly, with everyone here in the room, and we've been through an interesting time with COVID, and the Surf Museum was such a wonderful adventure, and John would not let it go. It's like, we're going to make it happen, Captain. And he really did such a wonderful job of pushing. And Megan kept everybody on point, doing all the research, all the meetings, and it was such a huge success. And I just can't say thank you enough for being on the board for several years now. And it's just fabulous to see you guys and to see the accomplishments and to get the next generation and their kids involved. So, but they are personalized, and Shelley, I'm going to ask you to read it because I don't have my glasses on.
Okay, this is to, are they the same? No, they're different. Okay, this is to John. Thank you for being a key to this institution. Your dedication and commitment to the completion of the surf culture exhibit will forever serve as an example of perseverance. That's for John. And then for Megan, thank you for bringing so much success to the St. Augustine Historical Society and the opening of the surf culture exhibit. Your enthusiasm never wavered during difficult times. Your extra effort, turn it this way. Your extra effort and hard work are appreciated. And that this is on behalf of the entire board. Thank you.
Where's Jeanette? I figured just smile, right?
Well, that was great. Thank you very much. Much appreciated. Nice touch. That concludes this evening's meeting. We appreciate everyone coming out. We thank you so much for your support. Please drive home safely. Thank you.